Okay, so let's begin. And as I was mentioning today, we're going to talk about a topic that is very, very special to me. We are going to talk about how to get a tech job in under a year. And the reason why this is a very special session, it's because it's my experience. This is exactly what I'm going to share today is exactly what I did and exactly the steps I took to get a job in tech in under a year. If you haven't joined before, hi, I am Mafe, and I am a senior designer here at Avo Academy. I've been designing for more than 10 years. I started as a graphic designer, and 5 years ago, I fell in love with UX UI. So I've been a UX UI designer for a few years now, and I am incredibly passionate about sharing experiences that can transform lives and sharing everything about UX UI design because it's a topic that, as I said earlier, I'm in love with. So here we are. Okay, so let me share my screen for a moment. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, so the topics that we will be addressing today, it's basically there are 4 steps that will help you land a job in tech in under a year. So we're going to cover those steps and see in practical terms how do you have to go through those steps to get a job in tech. But before that, we're going to talk about what does a career in tech looks like. So let's get started. So, as you know, or maybe the reason why you're here watching this video is because something is interesting you about the tech industry. The tech industry is one of those industries that right now has a ton of attention because it's growing and it's going to continue to grow. The demand for digital services and products is higher than ever and it's going to keep growing. So it's a field that holds a ton of growth. It's a field that it's becoming what medicine and studying law used to be before. It's those kind of careers where you want to be, or those kind of industries where you want to be. And there are usually 2 ways to break into tech and to begin taking part of this tech party, if you will. So one, it's the traditional route, and the second one, it's a fast pass entry to a tech career. So you have a traditional career, and this applies not just to a few careers in tech, but also traditional careers like psychology, obviously medicine, all the engineering careers fall into this mold, which is basically you go through a school, an academy for 4 or more years. Then, once you graduated, you start an entry level job, and hopefully, you get a job soon and you begin to climb the corporate ladder. So, you will start from the bottom, begin getting more experience, and after several years, you get promoted, and so on and so forth until eventually you retire. So, the fast track or the fast past entry careers that I want to talk about, and that we will go into a little bit more detail later on the presentation, offer you a different entry to tech because instead of spending 4 or more years, you could spend between 3 to 6 months. And in these months, you will also be learning the fundamentals, but in some cases, hopefully, you will be getting experience as well. So this will fast track you getting a start entry job. So unlike the traditional career where you didn't have experience, like real experience before graduation, in this fast pass track entry to the tech industry, you get to have a bit of experience before joining the job market. So then you have greater chances to land a job, and you start your job shortly after learning, and then you keep learning. So something that is going to become a theme in our today's conversation, it's basically that a very high currency in the tech industry is experience. So experience, it's very coveted, it's very valued. So what you have to do is keep learning by doing. So as you go and you're experiencing your job, you're going to get more experience, and you will experience a continuous growth, and this is how you will grow in the tech industry. And a fun thing is that the tech industry, maybe you've noticed, that goes at a supersonic speed. So, like maybe 3 years ago, AI was not as hot topic as it is today. So there are new technologies coming in constantly that simply accelerate the way we work, that transform the way we work and we live. Therefore, it's a very dynamic industry. So, in this job, you won't expect the same thing year after year, but you will see how quickly you have to adapt to so many circumstances. So, if you're a person who wants to break into tech quickly and who loves a dynamic environment, I think this fast track entry to tech, it's gonna be exactly for you. And some like and this golden ticket, like just to set it out loud, it's to join a boot camp. So obviously, there are some like reservations you may have about joining a boot camp, and there are so many myths around the tech industry at the particular time. So it's been said that tech careers have low entry barriers or faster entry barriers. But the thing is that the statistics tell us something like something different. So if you feel like because you just are out of a boot camp, you're not going to have the same hiring, or you're not going to be as desirable as someone with a proper quote unquote title, I want you to know that uh, the bestschool.org conducted a study, and in their report, they found that 72% of hiring managers and teams explained or manifested that the boot camps grads are just as prepared as someone with a m- like a proper degree, right? So like a coding degree, or a yeah, like a quote unquote proper degree. Another very cool thing that they said is that once they hired someone from a boot camp, they would hire again. And 99% of the people who participated in this research reported that they would hire again someone from a boot camp. So, as I mentioned, and I really would like to stress this out, experience, it's a very, very important currency. So that's why here titles don't really matter. And finally, 79% of people from boot camps were employed after 180 days. So, boot camps typically, and this is me skipping way ahead of this presentation, typically uh, go or last between 2 to 6 months. So, this is how you, like here in this statistic, you can see how it's very possible to land a job in less than a year and break into tech without breaking the bank. So, and the reason why this is so dear to my heart, as I said earlier, it's because this is my experience. I was a graphic designer, I was a freelancer, and then I went through a bootcamp process, and under a year, I landed a very, very cool job in an amazing company. So, this is a proven formula that works. And we were talking about what a career in tech looks like. So we have the two variations, right? Where you can follow like a traditional path, or you can have this fast track path. And the other thing that a career in tech would look like, it's a rewarding career, not only because of everything that you'll be able to achieve as a professional, but also because of the perks or the benefits of working in some tech companies. And basically, these are more than tech companies, it's like the tech industry standards. So, something very important, it's really nice pace check. In tech, an average salary is six figures. So if you contrast this with the average in the rest of the country, if you're here in the United States, you'll see that it's above the average fold. And another thing you may say or think, it's well, tech, it's just computers, or it's about computers. But something very fun or great and very rewarding about tech, it is that it's not just computers. It's about ideas. It's about breaking barriers. It's about uh, building the future together. So I always say that us who work in tech, we are building the Jetsons. We're making the Jetsons come true because we have to be innovative. We have to work in projects that basically are shaping society at the moment. So it's not just about computers, it's also shaping the society. So, if you're a person who likes a lot and thrives in sharing cool ideas and working in really cool projects that are groundbreaking, well, this is the industry for you, and you're going, or you are like in front of a very rewarding career for you. And also something important about tech, it's that it's very flexible. I mean, you can work from anywhere, and you don't need a degree. So typically, or maybe something that has been an obstacle, it is people not being able to afford going to college, and therefore they feel like that is a strong reason why they cannot go beyond in their lives or do something, um, or yeah, apply to a job in an important corporation or big industry. So this is not true for tech, because as I mentioned earlier, uh, people are happy to hire people from boot camps, and one of the amazing things about boot camps is that they are very affordable. So it is flexible. You can work from anywhere. In many cases, you have hybrid positions. So you can work from anywhere. There are many remote positions as well. So it's a very flexible environment, and you can also, it's very oriented to results, not how many hours you spend sitting in your desk. So as long as you deliver, you can choose to work in whatever hours. Obviously, this depends on the team. If for I used to work with a team that was in Europe, so I used to have to wake up really early in the morning, because from 6 a.m. my time to 9 a.m. Here in Pacific is when we would be able to meet and get together. So obviously, you have those kind of cases, but typically, it's very flexible. So now that we know what a career in tech looks like. So, and to recap, it's you have two alternatives: a traditional path or a fast track path that you can access a job in tech by going through a quick 2 to 3 months experience, then applying for the job. And once you're in the job, you'll be able to refine your skills, and you'll be able to work in very dynamic projects, shaping the future. And having amazing rewards. And if creating in an innovation, it's something important for you, even though if you're not in the creative side of tech, but even a data analyst. It's so important in how we're creating the future. So if these things are appealing to you, so that's what a career in tech looks like. It's going to be rewarding personally and also financially. So the first of the four steps to get a job in tech in under a year, it's to learn the foundations. So building on strong foundations, or ensuring you have strong foundations, it's ensuring a journey towards a long-term success. So a great analogy, it's imagine the house. If you want your house to last the test of time, you have to make sure it has strong foundations. So if you go to Europe and you see these very, very old buildings, what they have in common is that they have very strong and solid foundations. So the first thing is that you have, and the same thing applies to your education and to your career. You have to provide stability and support so that it can hold the exponential growth that follows. So it is a very good idea to invest in creating very good and solid foundations so you can master the basics and then go with confidence to a job environment and be able to perform and knowing that you have the tools to do a good job. So there are different paths that you can take to learn these foundations. So let's explore some of these paths. So the first, it's going to be self-directed. So what that means is you going and doing the research and exploring different ways to or different concepts. So this is ideal for people who prefer learning independently and very importantly have good self-discipline. Something you need to keep in mind if you are considering this path for you is that it requires very strong organizational skills and it may lack guidance. So, some resources that you have where you can learn this, it is YouTube, Coursera, or Udemy. So, since I mentioned this is a very dear to my heart conversation because I went through this process, right? And I explored or researched all these options before deciding to join a boot camp. And I love to learn on my own as well. But the reason why I didn't go for the self-directed option, it's because something that I'm going to share with you. And it's while I was working in a company, um, unfortunately, there we didn't have great onboarding processes. So when a person would join, it was a little bit convoluted. And a new person joined our team and we had a meeting and she was clearly struggling and she expressed to me, Mafe, the problem is that I don't know what I don't know. So that's really stuck with me because it's the thing with self-directed. Like you can always go to YouTube and learn a ton about, for example, UI, but you don't know what you don't know. So you may be focusing in something and you are disregarding other things that are also really important. So whenever you go into the job market, you will have holes in your education. So go back to the analogy of strong foundations. So you would have to be very thorough and make sure that you craft for yourself some kind of outline where you cover topics. So you would have to research beforehand before you start committing and learning for yourself. So you ensure that you are going through every piece of information you need. The problem there is that you may then learn or focus in things that you need to know but don't need to become an expert in. So that is the very thin line about self-directed. The other option, it's mentorships. So, mentorships is very interesting, and this is perfect for people who value personalized guidance and learn from experienced professionals. The problem here is that you have a very limited availability and you may be required to have a prior knowledge. So, where you can access this is, for example, in LinkedIn or Adapt List. So imagine, like, if you wanted to go through this mentorship route, you would have to, for example, go to LinkedIn and start knocking on doors of designers or data analysts or product managers asking for their mentorship. So, as you can imagine, it's a daunting task because not everyone is open and willing to give their time to coach you out of the blue. In Adapt List, it's a little bit different, but then obviously you may need a prior knowledge so you know what kind of questions to ask this mentor. So it would be like a hybrid between mentorship and self directed. Then we have the online courses. This is a very good one and a very interesting one. And it's perfect if you enjoy structure online learning with a ton of flexibility. So this is great because unlike the self-directed, they those courses are curated by experts. So they do know what you don't know, and they can create an outline um, of lessons for you to be exposed to the information you need. So you won't have that lingering question, right? The thing is that it could be difficult to adapt to, like, this offers zero personalization and quality may vary. So you have some courses that are really good and you have others that are not so good. And you won't know that very easily until you get more experience afterwards. And you won't get, like, you would have to adapt to the course and the course is never going to adapt to you. So, for example, if you're a person that comes from, the health industry. Maybe you're a nurse who wants to transition to tech, and you take this online course. Uh, if you want to ask how can you transfer your previous knowledge to this course, it's very hard because you don't have that guidance or that mentorship. You have to figure a ton of things on your own. And some resources or places where you can get access to these online courses are Udacity, Coursera, Skillshare, Pluralsight, and there are an abundance of online courses. And finally, and my favorite for obvious reasons, is boot camps. And it's my favorite not only because I'm here in Avo Academy, but because I've been through the experience and I know that this works. And after my thorough research, and obviously this applies to my own personal experience, this was the best because it was the perfect blend between getting the knowledge, the fundamentals from experts. So they know what I don't know, and they created a perfect outline for me to learn everything I needed to know and be job ready with mentorship. So here in Avo Academy, we have unlimited mentorship. So even the smallest thing or doubt about a lesson, I could go to someone and ask for feedback. Or yeah, answers to simple questions. But I mentioned something, feedback, it's the other very important thing, because in online courses you go and you start building things, you don't know if they are right, but when you go and you work with a mentor is going to be able to guide you and say, hey, yes to this, no to that, tweak this, tweak that. So that's why I consider the bootcamp a better alternative, and also because it's very affordable compared to other forms of learning. But something that you have to consider if you want to join a bootcamp is that it requires time, commitment, and it's very intensive, and it is very intensive. If you are I At the moment when I went through the boot camp, I was also working. So it was challenging, but as it was 10 times more rewarding at the end than the struggle I had through the process. So, but it's something to consider. If you are not interested in putting time and effort, maybe a boot camp is not for you. If you're maybe just exploring and want to learn a few things before really committing, maybe a boot camp is not for you, because definitely your life is going to change before and after a boot camp, and those transformations, like a life change, requires uh, effort and time. So, what resource do you have to learn the foundations through a bootcamp? Well, obviously, in Avo Academy, we are experts at guiding people through this process. And another option, it's Coding Dojo as well. So, why choose a bootcamp to learn foundations? So, as I was mentioning, it gives you the possibility of doing while learning, but with the mentorship you need to be able to answer questions along the way. So it will be a hands-on experience, and something that was very important to me, it was not going to break the bank. So it's a really fast track. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket to accessing, to breaking into tech with a good paying job. So the great things about boot camps is that you can learn the tech basics between 2 to 6 months. They focus on practical skills, making you job ready through hands on projects. So, this is really important. And maybe you can write I don't know, a line every time I say this, but experience is the most important currency when you want to land a job in tech. Like if you receive a resume of someone with experience and someone who doesn't have experience, you will always go for the one with experience. So that's the great thing about boot camps. You will learn by doing. They expose you to real projects, so you will have experience before you graduate. It's cost effective. So, for example, here in Avo Academy, our tuition is lower than $3,000, and there are financing options, so it is affordable, like unlike going to or starting a brand new career and going to college. Like if you put those together, this is really affordable. We have also the benefit of working or learning from experienced mentors that can guide you through your learning and can help you share valuable insights, but something that even if you decide to go on your own and begin learning on your own, find someone who provides feedback. Because when we are working in the tech industry, the best idea is often not the first idea, is often not the best idea. So you want to keep working and keep elaborating in whatever you're working, and having a set of expert eyes reviewing your work and helping you grow. It's essential. It's paramount. And it's also very ideal for career changers and those who are aiming for specific jobs and want, like, this is like if you want to go and nail it, go through the boot camp. Like if you don't have time to experiment and you just want to change careers and do it as assertively as possible, the boot camp, it's the best solution because it's quick, it provides you the tools, the experience, like many things that you would need. So, which are these golden tickets careers that can help you fast track your entrance to the tech industry? So, we have, and this is to name a few, there are absolutely more, but these are kind of popular. So, we have data analyst, and data analysts are so important because nowadays We breathe, and there's a computer gathering data. Literally, there's a computer gathering data of how many times you breathe. And I'm not kidding here. So, the thing is, what do you do with all that data? Like, imagine working or being in Google or a company that has a ton of traffic, who has to measure and understand how you like users behave, how the website is behaving. So everything you do is quantifiable on the web. So data analysts are those who see all the data and are able to analyze it, so you can and the business can make decisions, strategic decisions of the product design and so many things. So very important. Then we have the developers. I love developers because they are the builders of the online world. They are the architects that are building make that are building websites and applications and making them work. So the developers, they're literally the ones building our digital world. We have UX, UI designers like me, and we make applications and websites easy for the users, welcoming, uh, a nice experience so they want to come back. And basically, we are a bridge between brands and users. And then we have product managers who are like ship captains. They guide new products. They are like orchestra conductors. They put all the pieces together and make sure that everything is working harmoniously. So these professions, these careers are very important in the tech industry. And oftentimes, in many companies, you will see that there are like team pods crew based, or the members of this team pods are usually these four characters. Sometimes the data analysts can be for multiple teams, but there are pods that are usually a developer, a UX and UI designer, with a product or a project manager. So this is like the core super team that is creating the digital world. And something that we want to share with you today that is very exciting, and this is not even from our research, but comes from Course Report, that it's a very reputable company that is always analyzing boot camps, online courses like this, basically e-learning industry. So they create certain reports, and according to their research, 51%, like people see a 51% increase on their salary when they transition into the tech industry. And something that is important, and I am witness, I can confirm that this is very true, is that once you graduate from a boot camp, when you start doing your new job, you will definitely use everything you learned, well, or many things that you learn in your boot camp. So the skills you acquire during the boot camp are the ones you are going to apply in your work. Another important thing to see here is that after the boot camp, an average salary, it's 70K, and people used to be in 24K. So do you see like the growth, the exponential economic growth that something as I don't want to say simple, but something as effective as a boot camp can achieve if you are looking for a career change? So, the third thing we should keep, or the third step to land a job in under a year, um, would be getting real world experience. So, this is basically when the recipe becomes food, where the rubber meets the road. It's when all the puzzle pieces come together and you put everything you learn into practice and you start building amazing things. So obviously, This is a process where you have to keep doing. And as you keep doing and keep experimenting, you will get better. So, definitely very important is no matter which path you decide to take, make sure you're applying what you learned. Because this, again, once more, the one of the most important currencies to break into the tech industry is experience. So this is where you will set yourself apart. And sometimes people, especially that come from a different industry, like psychology or the health industry or even construction, can feel that what if I don't know how to draw, or what if I don't know this thing or the other? The only thing that I can share with you is that practice makes perfect. So maybe you don't remember this, maybe you do, but when we were first starting to read, for example, it was hard. We 100% sure we didn't do it right the first times. And while we kept reading and doing and exposing ourselves to books, we got better. Every single thing you do, when you start, you are not, you're like a raw diamond. And the only way to become this amazing diamond you are meant to be is through experience and doing things over and over and over again. So don't be afraid of um, what if you don't know how to do something? Expose yourself to it. Do it. Do it over and over again. Even if you're not doing it quote unquote right, just keep doing it. Keep doing it. And I promise you, I guarantee that you will get better at it. So, there are a few paths that you can take to put the real world into practice. So, one of them is freelancing. I used to be a freelancer, so I'm familiar with this. And what it is basically using your tech skills to do a paid task for others. So it is not like you're an employee, but you're like an independent contractor and you're doing things on the side. So it is very good experience. It's absolutely amazing because you get to work with real projects. The downside is that it requires a very strong self-awareness on what you can do. This is very accurate. You have to know what is your bandwidth because you can overcommit and then you will be burnout, self burnout, or you can overpromise what you can deliver. So you have to be very self aware of your limits and your possibilities and your talents. And also, it can be very difficult to balance like the freelance jobs with keep learning and even more as a freelancer, you're kind of like a business owner. You have to promote yourself, you have to market yourself, you have to go and find clients. And that is very, very time consuming. So you have to be ready to split your time into work and paying bills, paying taxes, and getting new clients and operating like a business. Another source of rubber meets the road or real world practice is open source projects. So, what is an open source project? This is when the community comes together to create something. So, here, no one's paying for this, it's the community who decides to come together and code something, create a website. So, it's collaborative and oftentimes what can happen is that you do a contribution and the next day you can see that that changed completely because someone came and built on top of what you were doing, but there was not really a communication of what just happened. So it can be a little bit convoluted, but it's a great way of getting practice. And the thing is that that you are kind of on your own but working with others. So unless you do it with a group of people that you already know, um, you can experience frustration for lack of communication. Then we have hackathons. These are very popular and they're so fun. So, these are events where people work together intensely on tech projects. And the idea is to solve problems, and many, many times they are competitions. So, it's really fun because you have to create something and you're competing with someone else to create it. So, whoever creates it faster, better. So, it's really fun. It gathers also the community. You get to meet with other people. But the thing is that, or something to consider, is that this work at a very, very, very fast pace, and the scope, it's very limited. So if you are just starting and you want to explore the real world, this is like learning how to drive in a parking lot and exiting immediately to the freeway. It's kind of rushed. So just keep that in mind, that this is requires you to be at a level where you can think very fast and do very fast and not be scared of the convoluted speed. And the other option is through bootcamp client projects. So, for example, here at Avo Academy, we work in different teams and we work for real clients. So, it's very cool because you get to work with other students and with senior designers and with mentors on projects that are going to have impact on a business because they are absolutely real. The thing you have to consider here is that it's going to take time and you're going to have to be invested here, because if you like miss a deadline, you're not just going to take the responsibility for it, but it's going to affect your teammates and the company you're working for. So you have to take this very professionally. So something interesting is that here in Avo Academy, we've gathered all that experience and we have created a program that it's basically built to meet all these requirements. So the first thing is to have a portfolio. So a portfolio tells a compelling story of your journey and your capabilities. So in a portfolio, you're going to add various projects that are going to help you showcase your skills and adaptability to the client's needs. So, in a portfolio is where you will gather everything you've done and showcase who you are and your process through this like different case studies where you can show what was your process, your train of thought, why did you do something, or why you didn't do something. Let me just grab a sip. Whew. Okay, so the other thing that we have like procured here in Avo Academy is that you get the possibility to collaborate with other designers in projects, so you can showcase that you know how to collaborate and work in teams. This is another very important thing when working in the tech industry. Tech industry, it is not. I was thinking about if there were cases, but it is not a solo project. It is not a solo venture. You are always going to be working with people. So it's really important to show that you have the ability to work with others. And something that I absolutely valued and was very important for me was getting expert guidance. So in our process, you are constantly receiving valuable mentorship through while you are learning. And if you, for example, decide to join Career Jumpstart, you will also get this guidance in things like interview preparations. So I remember when I was going through that process, I had this mentor, Anna, and she was so amazing, because we would review the company that I was going to interview for, the people I was going to interview for, and we would create a strategy for those interviews and we would practice together. She would ask me questions, and this is something that I've never done before. Not like this, definitely. So her mentorship was definitely fundamental and key in the way in me getting my tech job after the boot camp. So something we're very excited about is that in Career Jumpstart, 95% of our students have landed a job after working with our teams in those real life projects. And better yet, on average, people have gotten their job in 122 days. I remember that in my case, it took about 3 weeks, but it's going to vary depending on so many variables. But as you can see, if uh, a boot camp takes between 2 to 6 months, and then you have a period of 122 days to land your job, it is very possible to get a job in tech in under a year. And we're about to finish and to review the final step to land a job in tech in under a year. But before we continue, we would love to learn about how is this experience going for you. So please take a moment. It's not going to take more than a minute to fill out our survey. And if you do fill out our survey, you are going to unlock a 250 discount in our foundations course. So please take the time to go through this, and we are going to put the link below in the video, or I'm adding the link right now into the chat so you can also access this if this is easier for you. Bottom line, what we want is to keep creating content and answer questions you may have. So please let us know if this is valuable to you, or how can we improve to make this experience better. So the final step after reviewing like every other thing that we have to do to land a job in tech in under a year would be start applying to tech jobs. So before this, we made sure we went through the fundamentals. We also made sure we were like building experience, right? So we were learning, and we were also applying what we were learning, and then we begin to apply to jobs. So after you have learned the basics and you are confident that you've learned real life experience, it is time to take the final step. So the first step in that final step is to prepare your portfolio. So as I mentioned earlier, a portfolio, it's a collection of your projects. It's a testament of what you've learned, of your skills, of who you are, and put it in multiple case studies where you can showcase basically what you are made for and who you are. So that is the first thing. The second thing, it's interview practice. Really, this is so important because and I like, even if you decide to do this on your own, you can go to LinkedIn. They have multiple questions that can pop up in an interview. In practice with people, it would be great if you can practice with an expert who's guiding you through the process and help you refine your answers. That would be even better. But this is great because it's going to help you gain confidence in you explaining your process, your skills, who you are. Like, I am absolutely sure that one of the most daunting questions we could be asked is, who are you? That those questions are kind of terrifying. So being able to practice the answer and being able to provide an answer that is also strategic for the role you're applying, it's really important. So make sure you have some interview practice. And finally, start applying to jobs. Go and find in LinkedIn, in Indeed, in, I think there's one called Dice. There's so many platforms where you can go and try to and apply for jobs. So, one thing that you may be thinking is that, okay, so if I am applying to jobs, so there are maybe two things you can be thinking. So, the first one is, what about the tech layoffs? There are a ton of tech layoffs, and it is absolutely true. But something that is not as news as the massive tech layoffs is the amount of tech hires. So if you go in Google, you will see that I think last year there were like 300,000 new jobs in tech industry. I don't remember exactly right now, but the bottom line is that there are more tech hires than tech layoffs. So obviously that is not going to make the news because it's such a mundane situation that someone got hired. It's not as dramatic as multiple people getting fired at the same time. But there are a lot of tech hires. If you go to LinkedIn right now and search for any of the positions we saw earlier, data analyst, developer, product manager, UX UI designer, you are going to find hundreds of job postings. And the other thing is that the cool thing about tech is that it kinds of touches on many, many, many other industries. The other day, I was going through my Instagram feed and I saw this ad of Colgate. They are promoting now a smart toothbrush. So, this smart toothbrush pairs with an application and it can help you set some oral hygiene goals. It is also, while you are brushing your teeth, it's going to create like a 3D map of your mouth and it's going to tell you which spots you need to clean again to ensure that you have a proper care. So I was like, wow, even something as mundane and as like normal as brushing your teeth is now it's been technified. So tech industry is everywhere and it's across multiple industry. So for example, if you love cars, you can work in a car, you can work in Toyota, in Volvo, in Volkswagen, in so many other companies because you hop on a car right now and they have this massive screens, you have the application, you have so many things. So whatever you like, whatever is your background. So for example, if you come from psychology and you decide to come and transition into the tech industry, try to find a job in, for example, companies like Headspace, like Maven, uh, things that are in the wellness industry, because there are so many abundance of jobs there. If you come from art, you will be easily be able to apply that. If you like video games, there are a ton of jobs in video games creation. So you would build your foundations and then you can specialize in video in UX UI for you for video games and so on and so forth. So the possibilities are endless here. And what I invite you to ask yourself is, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? Because hopefully you will get a job in something that you are truly passionate about. However, sometimes, especially when you're trying to get your first job, um, it's okay to have an open mind and just make sure to break into tech, right? And get maybe 1 year of experience. And then you can transition into something that you like better. But the first step is to apply and get your first job, and you are going to start building on top of that. So to close, here is a Avocademy success story. This is Andrew Garcia, and he went through the whole process, the boot camp. So it's not only me who went through this process and landed a job and it's very happy with the result, but there are many others who have had the privilege to accompany through this whole process, and Andrew is one of them. He actually comes from construction, and what I love about his testimonial is that he builds on top of that. So that experience gave him so many skills that he was able to transfer later. So he went through the Avo Academy process, and now he's a product designer at PepsiCo. So PepsiCo, it's the company behind Pepsi and many chips that you consume today. So it's a very big company, and we're very happy to see our students go into large companies, medium companies, all kinds of companies, and make a very big impact on the world and shape the future. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was a very special call for me, a very special session. Sorry, a very special session for me because I was able to share with you a little bit of my experience as I went through the boot camp and I did the whole process of learning the foundations, then going through CJ, where I was able to work in multiple teams and work on a really amazing and cool project. And finally, the invaluable support I received from mentors and the Avo Academy community to land my job. So, even so, that Maka, the founder, jumped in a call with me and helped me with the salary negotiation. So, it's those kind of things that sometimes you just don't get on your own. So, this was my journey, and I'm happy to share it with you. Thank you so much for taking the time of joining me today. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to schedule a call with a career advisor. What we want is to make this experience as personalized as possible. So please scan the code, or also in the link below, you'll probably find the link to our Calendly, where you'll be able to schedule a call with a career advisor and ask questions about how you can translate your background into our specialty is UX UI design. So how can you transfer and make that transition from wherever you come from to UX UI and unlock all the rewards and these amazing possibilities that the tech industry has to offer. Once again, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day and week, and I will see you next week.